Hello! So today's going to be a little bit of a chill one. I'm just going to be going over some patch notes. So it's going to be 14.24B. So this is going to be a B patch. It was a planned B patch for the current live patch of the set. It actually went live, this patch, a little bit earlier today. I think around an hour ago. So I was actually just streaming. And when I ended stream, I needed to update my game and there was a new patch. So that was really exciting and cool. Anyways, you know, judging by the looks of it, it looks like Camille's gonna get something because like they put a giant picture of her on this patch page. But basically, we're just gonna go through it. I'm gonna give my opinion and some of the experience I've had playing the game so far with the current patch. This is a very long patch because obviously there's gonna be vacations around these December months and like winter months. So this patch is gonna last for a while. There's not gonna be like another major patch. This is like a nice little tweak to what already existed, and you can check out my video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are enjoying my content. By the way, there's also this for you guys. Since we reached our subscriber goal, we will be doing a TFT RP giveaway. Yay! Basically, you'll go to the video. I'll put in the comments as well, but in the description you can click the Discord. There'll be a link to the Discord, and then once you get into my Discord, which is the Wolfgang Discord, there is in the text channels a TFT giveaway channel. You will go to this channel, and then you will enter the giveaway using this button right here. Alright, so let's go through the changes right now. So I'm not going to read everything, I'm just going to kind of skim through it. This is a little bit of a live reaction as well, but there's a couple things I already expected to see based on some conversations I heard throughout watching different streams over the past weekend or so. So this is what I was saying before. It's going to be a very long patch, so it's like a mini patch, but a lot of the things that are adjusting are some of the problem outliers. This was a big one. If you didn't know, the shot odds were bugged. I think when they did one of the changes, they reverted to like a shot odds nerf for 3 costs a while ago. So the main change here is that on level 7, before, what the intended was is that you're gonna have 40% chance of seeing a 3 cost, so usually you rolled on level 7. On level 7 actually became like 36-33 split between 2 costs and 2 costs and 3 costs, excuse me. So they're reverting it back to what it should be. This was just an unintended, something happened, messed up, bug, whatever you want to call it. So this was the big one that everybody wanted to get changed instantly, but because it was the tournament, it had to be delayed. So it happened now, so that's great. 6 costs. This is like, we're happy to lower the power of 6 costs. If you haven't seen the 6 costs, you know, those are your Warwick, your Victor, your Mel. The way that they work is that you don't have to have them at a particular level. The shot odds are like constant, and then at level 10 they're a little bit higher, and they increase as the game goes on. Here what they're doing is they're lowering the 6 cost odds at all level, and then at level 10 the 6 cost boost is being lowered slightly. I think this is a really good change. I don't know about you guys, but almost every game that I've played, there have been multiple copies of 6 costs. Like if I just go through like my match history, just so you guys take my word for it, like I'll go through like games today, right? Like every single game that I play, it feels like there's like multiple copies of 6 costs. Like look, 6 cost, 6 cost, 6 cost, right? Next game, 6 cost, 6 cost, right? I think there was another one in this game. Oh no, this guy has 2. They both have 2 6 costs. One of them's me. Haha, that was me, right? 6 cost, 6 cost, right? The way they were kind of leading it on at the beginning was that it was going to be a very rare occurrence, like, you know, a high cap your board type of situation. But almost every game, like even in my games, like almost like every other game, I have a 6 cost, and pretty much every game there's multiple. Like this one had 4 6 costs in this game. You know what I mean? They're not as rare as they were originally led on to be. So I really like that they're getting lowered. I don't know if you're a big enjoyer of the 6 costs. I find that they swing the fights really awkwardly. So this is something I really wanted, was lower odds all around. So this is a huge, great change for me. So I'm actually very happy with that. Opening encounters. So the main one that they're changing is the Mel opening encounter. It used to give 3 Tactician's Crown. Now it gives only 2. This one's very rare. I still haven't had it yet. I think this is fine. Some of them are a little bit, this seems like ridiculous either way, like having 2 or 3 Tactician's Crown. This whole thing seems ridiculous, so like, you know, tone it down a little bit, I guess. I remember there was a thing, if you have 3 different types of crowns equipped on the same unit, they generate like 5 gold per second. So there's a guy at the open tournament that got like a 3-star Warwick while playing the game because it was Mel encounter and he had Pandora's. So you can reforge the Tactician's Crown into like the one that uses 2 frying pans, the one that uses 2 spatulas, and the one that uses 1 of each. And if you put all 3 of those on a unit, they basically generate 5 gold per second. He had infinite gold, and he just rolled like you know, a couple hundred gold on level 10 and just got a 3-star Warwick and won the game. So I think this is a little bit in line with that thing happening, you know. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I don't think it matters that much except for those very niche conditions. Okay, traits. This is a big one. We're gonna go through it as much as we can for each one of them. Because I don't have this set up as a PowerPoint, I wanted to get out this video today, and I wasn't planning on doing this video, but then I don't want to do it tomorrow because I'm planning to do Orn artifacts tomorrow. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see an Orn artifact guide like the previous ones. So for each of these, I'm just gonna put in, like, I'm gonna go back and forth between like the team planner and kind of like talk about the units or stuff that it affects. So Artillerist 6-piece, 60 to 70%. I think this is fine. Artillerist is kind of weird because if you look at the Artillerists, you need 2 emblems to get to the 6-piece, right? So there's only 4 Artillerists in the game. So in order to get to 6 Artillerists, you need to hit 2 of them, 2 emblems, that is. So it seems very, very high roll. It is only a 6 trait, so you know, if you have a galaxy where you're getting a bunch of spatulas, it is something that's reasonable to play around. But it did feel really weak if you ever saw it, comparatively for other 2-spat augments, so I can or 2-spat traits, so I can understand that change. Chem Baron, I kind of skimmed this a little bit before. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make all of the perfected items a little bit more in line with each other. So with the Chem Baron items, I did a Chem Baron guide just very recently. I was planning on doing a Chem Baron VOD review today. That might be either tomorrow or the day after, depending on if I finish the Orn artifact. But basically, a lot of the times, of the perfected items, the perfected items are like the 500 plus cash out items. Pretty much all the items are pretty good, given certain circumstances, but they're all like instant win almost. The only one that doesn't feel like instant win is Flesh Ripper and sometimes Executioner Blade, basically because like a lot of times you're trying to angle yourself to play around Silco, and these 2 items are absolutely dog shit. They're useless on a frontline unit, they're useless on a backline unit, and all the other ones felt very, very strong. So I expect everything to get a slight nerf, and this is only for like 500 plus cash outs to make it less of like a Teedle he, I guess this person instant wins. It's kind of like to bring that level a little bit lower, and I think that's fine. I think Chem Baron's in an okay spot right now. Like, it's pretty good. Excuse me, it's pretty good. I have my skepticisms about it, but I think that there's a lot of flexibility that's still yet to be played with it. So obviously I think these preemptive nerfs like this are good, because I think that it was getting a bit out of hand, because 500, especially if you have a spatula opener, it basically was like an instant win as long as the lobby wasn't high roll and as long as you didn't hit Flesh Ripper. So here, just a little bit less power, right? Destabilized Chem Shank, shield values are just getting dropped. Perfected is getting dropped a little bit. Oh, sorry. Destabilized Chem Tank 1 and 2 is getting a slight buff, and then Destabilized is getting a nerf, so they're changing that. The Perfected, Chem Tank is getting increased bonus vial damage. I didn't even think Destabilized Chem Tank was very good. Oh, so they're buffing Destabilized Chem Tank. I see. Destabilized Chem Tank is the green one, I think. I guess this one was not as good. Yeah, this one was definitely worse than this one. This Hex Armor one was definitely like the Giga one. Like, if you ever saw this Hex Armor, you basically just instant won the game, right? Like, it was just so broken. Perfected Flesh Ripper buff, yes. I would have like regular Flesh Ripper buffs as well, but yeah, this is 100% needed. Piltover Hex Armor getting nerfed, that's good. Instead of 10 per stack, it's 5 per stack, so it's like cut in half almost. Perfected Shimmer Bloom healing is cut by 10%. Yeah, it was very broken. Shield generated is dropped by 200. That's really good as well. Perfected Shimmer Blue bonus, 25% less. That's fine. This one got nerfed already, but that's because of weird interaction, so don't worry. It's not like over nerfed or anything. Perfected Unleashed Toxins wave damage 450 to 200. I've never actually seen this in real life, like in the game, so that's fine. And then Perfected Unleashed Toxins stun duration 1.5 to 1 seconds. This kind of cuts some of the synergies. Like, I remember I was talking about Kog'Maw being really broken if you have Perfected Unleashed Toxins and on the unit, so that's okay. I would have liked to see a buff to Unleashed Toxins, or maybe like a little bit of a rework for it, because I really don't like this item a lot of the times, because it feels like it's hard to play if you already, like, when you're playing around Chem Barons, a lot of times you make Shojin Nashers early. Like Silco, you basically need a Shojin, right? If you, like, I think we can all agree, if you don't have a Shojin on Silco, you're probably just going 8th. Like, you need to play, if you're playing around Silco, you need to make a Shojin at one point in your game. So you can't, like, not make it. So a lot of times you end up making a Shojin, and then you get the fucking thing, what's it called? Unleashed Toxins, which is basically like a juiced up Shojin. So it's not bad on Silco, but but it's just a little bit awkward to play around, because ideally you would just put this on him and then put 2 damage items, so then you just have like an extra Shojin, so it's just like clumsy. It feels clumsy, not like game losing, but it just feels clumsy. And I wish like maybe this had like less of like, I guess it still has to give the 5 bonus mana, but I was like, maybe if they change the stats a little bit so it can distinguish itself from the Shojin a little bit more. But that's just a me thing personally. I don't think anybody here has to worry about that, right? That's just like a me thing. It's like when I'm playing it and the angles that I'm going for, sometimes it just doesn't feel right. Virulent Virus AP dropped. Virulent Virus bonus damage reduction dropped. Virulent Virus bonus zombie HP. Oh, I've actually never seen Perfected Virulent Virus, so I actually don't know how broken this is, but it seems pretty good. Now we go to Conquerors. Conqueror's stat increase per chest open. So this one's really big, actually. I think this makes Conqueror a lot more reliable, especially at lower level, which is really scary, because I feel like this comp already has a really good win con if you have a good spot for it. Like Nox and Guillotine just feels like an instant win. If you look at the Conqueror trait, so what they're talking about is that like you get you get 3%. See how it says like you get extra attack damage and ability power 3% for each war chest open. They're upping that from 3% to 5%. That's like a 40% increase, or some, like, you know, do the math or whatever. That's a lot, right? Because a lot of times what makes Conqueror so good late game is that if you open enough war chests, eventually you get like a board that looks something like crazy, like with a bunch of 5 costs, because Conqueror is really strong at leading into certain 5 costs. So if you have a Conqueror emblem, like Jace with a Conqueror emblem is giga broken. Like, it is so good, because the thing with Jace and a Conqueror emblem is that Jace has really good scaling on both his AP and his AD, because the AP just scales his stupid dummy, like the crystal, and then the AD scales him. So like, if you increase that scaling, it makes your max cap a lot higher, which is really scary, because I feel like this comp already can easily win out, because it fits in really nicely with 5 costs, and it's a very tempo based comp. So I feel like the trait's really well designed. I don't know if it needed to be buffed by 3% to 5%. Like, if you want to buff it, I would maybe buff like some of this stuff, like the these percentages maybe, or maybe like the Conquest is like 1.5 or something. I don't know how to make it better, because I already kind of think that's in a good spot. It's like, if you have a spot for Conqueror, you can probably play around it and get a pretty consistent top 4. But buffing it from 3 to 5, I think it's going to be like close to broken. I think it's going to be like, you see Conqueror emblem, you just take it type of beat. Now, I might be wrong, but we'll see, obviously. Sniper damage per hex is a little bit of an increase on 4 sniper and 6 sniper. Not too big of a deal, because a lot of times you're not playing 4 sniper boards. So this can help out some certain Twitch boards, right? If you're playing like a Twitch Bruiser board. Because now Bruiser Mundo isn't bad. It kind of helps experiment a little bit, right? Like, if you play around experimental a little bit more often than not, a lot of times you can really easily fit in the 4 sniper, especially if you have a sniper emblem. So that's pretty interesting. And then Sorcerer, it looks like they're just giga buffing 8 Sorc, which is fine. I think it was never worthwhile to play towards it, but now if you have a spatula and you like a Sorc emblem, you might want to just play around vertical Sorc lines. So that's okay. All in all, these changes I think are all really good. I would have liked some more adjustments to some of the lower cost Chem Baron items, the lower cash out Chem Baron items, because I still feel like there's a huge disparity between some of them. But that's okay. That just might be me not having played enough. So overall, the ones that are like the big offenders, like this one, this Perfected Hextech armor was so ridiculous. And now I think like it makes it less of like instant win and more of like your spot still has to be okay for it. Like, you have to have a good transition. You know what I mean? Like, if you mess up your transition, there's a little bit more pressure on you, which I think is good. It's good for like, it's good for skill cap and like players being better players. Next, units. So I'm not going to read all of this. That's fine. Enforcer line is a bit weaker. Yeah. 2 of his units are being fairly dismal state. No, I don't believe in this. This is the only thing I don't like. But that's fine. I remember I skimmed that. I'll talk about Enforcer in a little second. I would have liked to see Enforcer changes here as well. But we'll talk about it in a second. Singe spell damage. So they're making it spell damage reduction. Sorry, they're making it so like 4-star Singed and 3-star Singed are a little bit weaker. He does have an insane amount of durability, like better durability reduction, like in terms of these numbers than most of the other tank units. So it was a little bit annoying. But this isn't a major nerf. This is, you probably won't even notice it. It's just a little bit of like a consistency thing. Violet AD, so this is base AD dropping by 50 to 46. If you don't know, there was a patch a couple seasons ago, I always mention it, where there was a 5-cost unit, and they were the most dog shit 5-cost unit in the game. They were so bad, and then they buffed it by 5 AD, and base AD, and they became from the worst unit in the game that you never would click on and never put on your board, to a meta comp that was like one of the best or contenders for best 5-cost. That was Xayah in set 11, if you remember. So every time I see these swings on base AD, these are massive. It doesn't look like a large number change, like even percentage-wise doesn't look like a large number, but now it really forces you to have a good Violet spot. Like if you're not hitting Violet 3 early, you're probably losing out. You're probably not playing a Violet opener unless you have like an actual Violet opener, and you might have to rely on hitting some of the other units like Draven 3, Garen 3, and what's his name, Vander 3, in order to make the comp actually work out with family. Camille, they're buffing AD by 2, so same explanation, right? If the unit doesn't seem that good, base AD is really massive, especially with Camille that does adaptive damage. And Nocturne AD is dropping. This feels like Nocturne's a really weird unit. I really hate this unit. I feel like this unit, I don't have good opinions of Nocturne. Let's just put it that way. If you're a Nocturne enjoyer, that's fine. I hate this unit, and I try my hardest to never play it, because every time I play it, I go bot 4. And I don't think it's because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure that this unit is really, really heavily dependent, at least at my level of play, is like an artifact check. If you get +1 range on this guy, like if you're playing any Nocturne comp, where is he? Nocturne. Like basically if you hit like RFC, Fishbones, or Sniper, such that you can put him in the back line, or put him, but instead of being in the front line, you put him one line behind. This unit pops off, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before. And he goes from like a 2-cost to like a 4-cost. You know what I mean? Like it's broken. But like without these artifacts, he's just so annoying. Like sometimes you just don't. Sometimes he just dies so easily. Like you either need this or you need 6 automata. Which 6 automata you need like 6. Sorry, I'm saying near automata. Yeah, it's automata. Like, with Automata, it's like, you need a Malzahar, so it's really high roll. Like, if you're rolling for 3-star this guy, you're usually rolling on level 6, and then by the time you make it to a high level to play Malzahar, and you need a Spatula, because there's only 5 Automata units, it's like, it's just so annoying. It's like, the win conditions for this guy are so weak, and like, his early game is really bad, because he can just die very early unless you have perfect items. So you have to be very high roll. Like, you have to have good items, a good amount of Nocturnes, and then you also have to high roll your Ender in order to actually like convert it to a high placement. It's like, but with Ornn artifacts, he's broken, so he gets a nerf. I guess, like that's fine. I'm down. I don't like the unit, but if you like the unit, I guess this is really sad for you, because I don't think he's good enough to get this nerf, if that makes sense. I just don't like him, so it's fine. Zeri AD getting buffed. I think Zeri is going to be really, really strong. There might be even Zeri reroll lines at one point. I think Zeri reroll is something that's slept upon. I'm sure it's going to pop off at one point. I think that Zeri indirectly got a lot of nerfs because of how strong Kog'Maw is. So, like, the Kog'Maw line, a lot of the Watcher units got nerfed. So, like, it makes it a little bit awkward to play around Zeri. But I definitely think Zeri with Firelight has really, really high cap potential. I even did a video on Zeri reroll on my channel. Gangplank melee, AD is increased by 5. This is massive. A lot of times you're just playing Gangplank backline. Gangplank frontline might be really, really strong, especially Gangplank reroll now. You might have a melee frontline Gangplank instead of a backline. Loris mana buffs, that's pretty good. Echo spell damage is getting buffed at all stages. That's pretty good. I think Echo is very, very strong sometimes in certain spots, especially with ambushers. So now you might end up playing like Camille into Echo. I've seen Echo with vertical ambusher do absolutely insane damage, right? Secondary damage is also getting buffed, so Echo might be a really, really popular 4-cost right now. So just be prepared for more Echo players to be in your lobbies. Silco monstrosity damage, it looks like a small nerf, but this is pretty big because it's each monstrosity. So a lot of his damage was like these monstrosities doing multiple instances of damage, so this is a pretty big nerf. But it's not that big. Like, I don't think he's gonna be unplayable. It's more so like he's gonna be a lot less consistent, so you can't just like play really harshly around Silco. Malzahar, small buffs. It's like, it's very little. It's on the dot damage, but the dot damage isn't that frequent. So it adds up. So it's not just like, you can't look at the number and say it's like a 1 number change. So it is quite a big buff, but it's not gonna make Malzahar like as broken as he was in the previous patch. Here's the big one. Victor, if you haven't been playing the game, basically, at least in my lobbies, it feels like a Victor simulator. It's like whoever hits Victor feels like they win the game. This unit is so broken. He does all shred. He just shreds sundering, and then he has this fucking. He does this shit where he freezes the board for like 2 seconds. It's so annoying. It's like if somebody has a Victor, they basically just freeze your board. It's like you get a Victor, it's like having 7 Rebel. Like, you know, 7 Rebel is really strong, but you have to play a bunch of shit units like these guys, right? Like, I'm not saying they're bad, like, they're in context, right? When you're playing Rebel, you're not re-rolling them, so they're not that strong. Like, you're playing Rebel, and you have these guys on your board just for the sake of having a stun. Meanwhile, some other guy just finds a Victor at a low level. It just bails you out. It's so annoying. It bails you out, and it makes it so that no matter how capped your board is, sometimes a Victor player just destroys you. Like, I remember one time I was a Chem Baron cash out. I beat everybody in the lobby, and then this guy just finds a Victor. I fight him. The Victor gets 2 casts off. I just lose the game. It's like if he didn't have Victor, I would have won the game. And instead, I just go bot 4. It's so annoying. Well, obviously, because Chem Baron is very risky. But mind you, I'm just saying with like every comp that happens. There's so many times where I'm playing the game. Somebody has a Victor. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just playing for 4th now. Because like if I ever fight that guy, I lose. So yeah, let's see what the changes are. Victor energy. So the way he works is like he doesn't gain mana. He just gains these energy. So they're nerfing it by 1. This could be substantial. At least it's going to make it a lot harder for him to double cast. So if you have a stall heavy comp, like a Heimer comp into Victor, it won't be like an instant lose. Laser damage getting dropped. That's good. Just have him do no damage. Laser true damage getting dropped. That's good. And laser spell damage getting dropped. That's good. The big change is this one. The stun. So the stun's going to take like a little bit of extra time. So whatever time it takes for Victor to stun the first time, imagine it being like, I don't know, like 25% slower for the first cast. This is a pretty substantial change. It might make him not as broken. The main change is also this in conjunction with the lower 6 cost odds. So that's very fun. I'm pretty happy about that. Thank God. This guy annoys me so much. So maybe I won't be so angry on stream anymore. Augments, built diff. So I don't know how good built diff is. I'm going to be honest. So what built diff is you have to play all units that are different units on your board. And then they get a buff, they get HP, and they get attack speed. They have to have no traits, right? So if you're trying to make a built diff board, for example, let me just shove in. A lot of times you would just play around 4 costs, and then you would just drop the ones that have the same synergies. So for example, with this board, like a built diff board might look something like this. No Ambessa either, right? So this is like, these are 4 costs that don't share any traits with each other. This is like an example of a built diff board. So instead of having the traits be active, instead they give you HP and they give you attack speed every round. So it's getting buffed. I never take this augment, by the way. The reason I don't take it is because there's no augment stats, right? I don't know how good these like you can make some connections, right? Like Mundo, for example, scales off HP. So having a bunch of HP and attack speed is really good on Mundo, and Heimer, Zoe, and Twitch all scale off of AS, right? But it's very hard to tell in the current meta if it's good enough to play around this, because the board obviously is very expensive, and I don't know based on augment stats if it's good. When you take built diff, you take it on early in the game, and you have to structure your whole game around the idea about that you're not playing any synergies, right? Eventually you cap out around 5 costs. There's a couple of 5 costs that don't have synergies. I don't know which ones they are, but bear with me for a second. So a lot of times you'll cap out around these units. So for example, you won't play the ones that have unique traits. And instead you'll just drop the units that don't share traits with them. So for example here, a higher cap version of the board would be something like this, probably. Who's a Sork? Like something like this would probably be a higher cap version, right? Where you play around these units and then maybe you play like double Alawi, double Elise. It just doesn't seem like a good idea because you have to structure a whole game around it. So I wouldn't grief my game to try it. This is more of like a for fun thing. If you want to play around built diff boards, then go for it. But I'm probably never going to take this. Unless I start to see people taking it and doing really well in my lobbies, I'm probably never going to even try it. And that's just me. Exalted Adventure average value of rewards lowered by approximately 15%. So this is the one where you upgrade, you get a bunch of 2 costs and you have to upgrade 2 of them. I think this augment is pretty broken, but I never had a chance to try it because I never got it offered to me yet. Lowering the rewards I think is good because I felt like it was pretty strong. Finally, this is the last little part. So hopefully this was engaging up until now. Victor and Zeri can no longer gain extra resource from a Visionary. These are bug fixes, so that's fine. They're both manaless units, so I think with a Visionary emblem, they did some weird shit. Removing Visionary emblem from Victor no longer causes him to lose his thing. That's fine. And then 2 committed hard commit can no longer give you emblems that don't have units of all costs needed. So this is actually pretty important because a lot of times when you take hard commit, you can actually figure out which traits you can play. So hard commit always has to have a 5 cost associated with it. So if you play hard commit, the hard commit is going to give you one of these emblems, basically. Which is pretty much all of them, by the way. But you might have to look down the tree and see if there's other ones. Like, for example, Automata. You're not going to get an Automata emblem, but you might get a Visionary emblem. You're not going to get a Black Rose emblem. No, you could get a Black Rose emblem, sorry. You can get Ambusher Rebel. You can get Enforcer in this. And you can get Chem Baron, Pit Fighter. Yeah, so pretty much all of them, but it's always going to be something that you get a 5 cost with, and that's how it was before, but now it's also I think at the lower levels of units now. So that's it for the patch review. So hopefully that was enjoyable, hopefully you had fun with it, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. Sorry there's not like a guide today, it's a little bit of a break from the guides, but I felt like it was nice to go through the patches, and yeah, enjoy. See you guys around. Bye bye.